city carved a silhouette on the ocean after dark, over the lonely and the holy and the red blood beating hearts. Up from the dirty black water, a shadow void of form raised itself out of the river, and it climbed upon the shore. Neon on the blacktop, there's a gentle rain downtown, a shadow pooling underneath me as it follows on the ground. Kissed you when I saw you, stared deep into your eyes. I meant to say I love you, but instead I said goodbye. Shadows in the city, I'm a stranger to myself. On these streets I'm someone else. Shadows in the city, like a demon in the dark, come to tear us apart. Neon city, all my good intentions, there's a shadow in the dark. It comes to me infrequently and breaks your perfect heart. I don't know why I do it, apologize, but it's too late. A single tear and you leave me here, and the shadow slips away. Shadows in the city, I'm a stranger to myself. On these streets I'm someone else. Shadows in the city, like a demon in the dark, come to tear us apart. Neon city,
KSWV. You're listening to Radio Shockwave.
On a downtown train, she's coming to shine a light wanna say goodbye. When the sun has set, we'll never die. And we can live tonight. We're gonna lay back, take a ride. I don't wanna say goodbye. I don't wanna live until the end of time. I don't wanna say goodbye tonight.
You're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave.
Once again, I ran away to LA. I'm in a downtown bar, wondering where you are. I need some time on my own. I'll work it out alone, but I'll hang on every word you say. Can you hear me now? A million miles away, and I don't know how. I still recall those nights, moonlit city lights. Come on and take my hand one more time, Caroline. All I hear is this ringing in my ear, and God knows I've tried to put the past behind. So here I am, just a man, calling out your name, and I still hang on every word you say. Can you hear me now? A million miles away, and I don't know how. I still recall those nights, moonlit city lights. Come on and take my hand one more time, Caroline. You're still on my mind. You're all I hear, and I still want you. Yeah, I still want you near. I always hang on every word you say. Can you hear me now? Sometimes I feel you near, and I don't know how to take back those nights and the sleepless nights. Come on and take my hand one more time, Caroline.
You're listening to KSWV, the Shockwave. More great synthwave tunes after these messages.
I saw her from across the road. She was wearing pink shoes and a little skirt. It was love at first sight. I needed to know more, so I followed her down the street. By this time I had realized something. I had become a stalker without even knowing it. I was beginning to become obsessed by this girl. But all I could do was follow. She was smoking hot with an ass you could bounce a dollar coin off. I was helpless as I could see she had some interesting traits one only dreams of. But still I needed to know more. So, I just followed. Where have you been hiding all my life? Are you even single? Could you possibly like me? The way your hips move could inspire a saint to fall short of glory. I just can't believe the effect you have on me. Pink shirt girl, where are you going? Don't walk away. Come back. You haven't even seen that I'm even here. Look this way. Just give me a smile. Make my heart miss a beat. Make my day. Could these feelings be real? This girl could drive me crazy. I just need to know who she is. She is the lady of my dreams. If she doesn't stop soon, I will certainly die. By this time, she had entered into a coffee shop. She ordered what I could see as a flat white, 2 sugars and a strawberry muffin. I casually entered the shop, spotted a free seat near the wall next to where she sat, and watched her sip from her cup. The cup was making me jealous. Why couldn't that cup be me? I so longed to kiss her sweet lips. Pink shirt girl, see me, pick me. I couldn't take it any longer. I had to make my move before I lost her forever. It was now or never. So I got up out of my chair. I trembled as I made my way over to this ravishing woman. She was all mine. She will be mine forever. I could smell her tantalizing perfume as I stood next to her, and was about to speak when she looked at me and said,
"Hey brother, what you doing here? Have you come to have lunch with me? Oh, and by the way, do you like my new look?"
You're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave. listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave.
Filled the crowded space. The voice inside our system that always led the way. Adjusting to this normal, looking out from DROID. I can't help but smile now, but some center stage. The world still beats a rhythm. Virtue's carved a place. It goes on and on and on and on. Wake up to the morning sun. Feels like we're getting closer. Call out to the lonely ones. Better days are yet to come with every present hour. Forgotten things are coming back, merge to spread their wings. Out hollow possessions here, as the new world sets its sights on you and me. Adjusting to this normal, looking out from DROID. I can't help but smile now, heard songs in a stage. The world still beats a rhythm. Virtue's carved a place. It goes on and on and on and on. Wake up to the morning sun. Feels like we're getting closer. Call out to the lonely ones. Better days are yet to come with every present hour. The light we count on filled the crowded space. The voice inside our system that always led the way. Wake up to the morning sun. Feels like we're getting closer. Call out to the lonely ones. Better days are yet to come with every present hour. This new way of living.
KSWV.
You're listening to Radio Shockwave.
You and me, it's written on your face. I can see you think you're in the race. cards right. You gotta play your cards right. You gotta play your cards right.
You're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave.
Perfect silence is standing in front of me. I mentioned the hope and dream I had. The perfect light is in the horizon, lighting my way, is lighting my way.
This is Blake Coverdale,
And this is Luna Coverdale
and you're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave.
on Global Digital Radio.
Love lost, found again. Another lifeblood into the dead. We're gonna kick back, take it slow. Tell me
bonjour, avis, bringing you the sounds of the 80s from both then and now. We are KSWV Radio Shockwave, and we are on the air live now here on a Tuesday midday here in Southern California, and in the studio here at Tijuana, Tokyo City Studios. I'm Blake Coverdale, your host and DJ for the next couple hours, and I happen to have some guests in the studio with me today. As most of you know, I'm not usually on the air Tuesday around this time, but today's a very, very, very special, how can I say, it's a special broadcast. And I have in the studio with me Luna Coverdale, who you already know. She's going to be co-hosting a little interview. Luna, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everyone, and I hope everyone is having a fantastic day so far.
Yes, and in addition to having Luna in the studio, we also have Dan Akis from RetroSynth Records. Dan, please say hello to everyone.
Greetings, everyone.
And now here's the kicker. Some of you guys know this already because we've been talking about it for a couple of days and let everyone know. But in case you don't, and you're just now tuning in for the first time, I also happen to have in the studio right now somebody very, very big. I have DROID Bishop here in the studio with us, and we're going to be interviewing him for about the next hour. And he's on a tight schedule today. So, James, do you want to say hi to everybody?
How's it going? Sorry, I don't know when I was waiting for, but here I am now, live in the studio for everyone. How's it going?
No, you did that really well. So, yeah, I'm really honored to have you here because I know things didn't quite work out for us last fall and everything, timing and scheduling. And when Luna said that that you were going to be dropping another song here on, was it July 12th? Do you have a new one coming out?
July 12th, yeah.
Yeah, and she said about you coming on the air, and I'm like, really? Oh, well, that's great. It's been almost a year. I didn't want to bug you and stuff because after things, we weren't able to work out after all, and I heard how busy you were and everything, even after the tour and the holidays and stuff. I didn't want to keep messaging you or anything, just say, hey, do you want to do that interview? And I just figured, sooner or later, might have the opportunity to circle back and, and meet up. And here we are, I don't know, 9 months later, but I'm glad it happened. I really am.
Yeah, we're finally here and glad to be on here. I actually thought you guys were based when we spoke last year, but it's cool to see you guys are California based, or at least you are.
I am.
And
yeah, we're
keeping the sunshine alive.
That's right, keeping the sunshine alive. We actually have a lot of the artists that we play are from Europe, and a lot of the record labels that we work with are European, mostly. And of course, one of our guest what they call it, content providers is the recording artist Nuvolino, and he's from Tasmania originally, but he's lived in the Gold Coast and stuff like that, and he's a personal friend of ours. We hang out with him online for, I don't know. Luna, how long we know Nuvo? About 5 years?
5 years now, yes.
Yeah.
Almost 6.
Almost 6, yeah. So a lot of people kind of wonder about that, but no. The station itself was based out of San Diego, and I'm down here, and Luna's in the Midwest. And Nuvolino, when he does stuff on the station, he's doing it from Australia, and then we have another contributor from Calgary, Canada. That would be Cool Moe. And of course, like I said, we work with several labels. The number one label we're probably working with right now is probably Dan's label. I would say Dan and Retro Reaper were the ones we're doing the most stuff with. But yeah, RetroSynth, we're partnered with them. Ain't that right, Dan?
That is indeed correct, sir.
Well, the power of the World Wide Web.
Yeah,
you got that right.
It brings people together. It's just nobody could have ever imagined this 20 years ago that we would be able to bond and spend time and have friends and stuff in other places so far. I mean, in the old days, when I was a little kid, we used to write letters. And, like in the late 70s into the 80s. So it was like...
Yeah, it's all pen pals.
Yeah, pen pals,
Yes,
exactly. Aye. But, this is... so
Don't date yourself, man. You're a young pup still.
Yeah, I don't want...
He meant the 90s. He wrote
Yeah, I meant the 90s, not
the
80s.
90s, right. Yeah. We'll do that. 90s, sure.
So, I guess we already asked you about where you were originally from, and you said Australia. And if I had met you on the street, and I would have never believed it, because you've done such an incredible job of. I'm not saying it's a positive or a negative, but I'm just saying that you've done a great job of masking your accent. I mean, you don't have it really at all.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like consciously masking it.
It's the wrong word.
No, I know.
I mean, you've lost that accent.
It's interesting that, like what you said, you would never guess that I'm not from the USA originally, and it's interesting what we view and judging books by their covers, because I probably seem more white Anglo-Saxon American to most people walking around, and I'm probably less American, or I'm still a green card holder, and you would see someone maybe with an accent from somewhere else that's more American than me, technically, on paper.
Right.
It's got their citizenship or something. So, it's a strange little mind trick, because between here and the East Coast, like I spent a lot of time when I was a kid, my accent kind of jumbled up with a lot of stuff. I spent a lot of time in the Jersey Shore when I was younger as well. And so I feel like I'm kind of this California Jersey Guido kind of vibe sometimes, but you go somewhere else and you kind of adapt to what sounds are around you. I was fairly young when I came over here, so I think my brain just started to adapt to different accents, and I don't know. I feel like I have it's an American, but it's kind of conglomerate, if you will.
Well, you do sound very much like, I would say, like a lot of Angelinos that I hear. As a matter of fact, I had to ask Dan a couple of months ago. I had asked him about you, because of the fact that back in the day, I was reading some stuff on the internet about you, and I had read about your brother being a top singing artist in Australia, and they said Australian pop singer, Sam Sparrow, and I'm like, wait a second, that's his brother. Wait, he lives here, and no, he's American. Well, maybe they're cousins or something. And then later on, when I met Dan, I'd asked him about that, and I said, do you know if Troy Bishop, is he Australian or is he American? Because he does not sound Australian. He goes, no, he's from Australia. And I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, accents are deceiving, and they definitely only paint part of the picture. Because like I said earlier, I don't really view myself as any nationality, really. I just kind of, anyone can take this good or bad, but like these are all imaginary lines, and like one thing's going to separate us because of something like where we're from, or I feel like there's more separation than bringing together for these labels. So I'm just a human being walking this spinning rock out of billions and billions of other rocks spinning around, probably, and who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, right.
I totally hear what you're saying on it, because there was a time here. There was a lot of countries that exist today that no longer, the lines, as you were saying, those lines have been erased. And when you think about it, I mean, like Italy, for instance, Rome. I mean, before there was an Italy, it was Rome for a very, very long time. Yeah. And Paris itself, the city of Paris, is like almost 6,000 years old, and people don't realize just how old it is. I mean, it's like before the country was there were these places, and they were like, nation states, or city states, I should say. So, in essence, that's what it comes down to. It's like, you're right, we're all on this rock. But I find it interesting in stuff and everything, because I'm really into people's like culture and stuff, but I didn't have any idea. I mean, all these years I've been listening to your music and everything, I just assumed that you were from LA like me, that you were a native or something. And so, I mean, just because the accent does kind of sound Jersey-ish a little bit, but I would have never
guessed. It depends.
guessed.
When I used to drink more, it would come out a little, depending. If I go back to Jersey or Philly,
right,
it starts to come out with the people you're around, and you start using your arms a little bit more when you talk, and you throw your hands open out, and
Yeah, like a typical Italian.
Yeah, it's an Italian thing.
Well, but like I said, I do love LA.
Yeah.
We talked about the movies and just kind of like, it's one of the original melting pots with cultures and lots of stuff going on. And so, it's not perfect. It's got its issues right now, but it's still something I love living in Los Angeles. to a degree,
Yeah. Well, there's so much to do and see out here. I mean, despite, some of the stuff that's going on right now, it's still a pretty incredible place because, as they always say, if you're into skiing, which I'm not now, I used to be at one time, but I'm not anymore, but you could go to the beach, in the afternoon, and go surfing in the morning, be on the ski slopes or whatever. And, it's like an hour drive, from one to the other. Okay. Maybe a little bit longer than that, 2 hours, depending on the traffic and stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty, there's a lot to do. And like I said off air, I love movies and entertainment. And I mean, yeah, they've filmed things and they're doing a lot in Atlanta now, and they've done stuff in Canada. And it's not just Los Angeles, but to be, it's 80% all coming from Los Angeles over the history of movies. And I told you I can drive to all these locations.
Yeah.
And to me, it's special. Some people are like, it's so expensive. Why don't you? My girlfriend's from the Midwest, and things are cheaper there. But I'm like, well, there's no Brady Bunch house there that we can drive to.
That's right.
No, there's no. I'm in Nebraska, and it's just plains. We have 2 major cities. That's in. The rest is like cornfields.
They got corn husks. Yeah, you got your cornfields.
Yes, we have the corn huskers too. So you don't go downtown during football season, or you're not going to get out.
All right, I'll remember that. Write that down. Stay out of cornfields.
So check.
Yeah.
So and I'm from South. I live in South Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia. So it's like the same thing over here. We're in between New York City and Philly and the Jersey Shore. So, again, same we'd be like an hour to the shore, and then like another hour we're in the Poconos. So or in the city. It's a neat little section.
Get your nice Italian ice down by the seashore and enjoy the pretty sights.
Exactly.
Something that James was talking about, I mean, because I used to live on that side of town, and he's right. I mean, a lot of times the things that you see living out here, a lot of times you'll see them in television shows and movies and stuff, and you recognize them. Like I saw an episode of Seinfeld, and they were supposed to be in Central Park.
I know, exactly. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, and I just jumped out of my shorts real quick.
But you recognized where it was, right? Where it really was.
The Central Park?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? They're supposed to be? Yeah, I mean, and they're walking on the, it's like you can see Ventura Boulevard when it's like they're supposed to be driving in Queens or something.
Exactly. Exactly. It's funny. I mean, just to see
my dad told me that when I was younger, he was watching movies and he's like, that's not, like it said some sign. It's like, that's not New York. That's downtown Los Angeles. And that was like a mind-blowing experience. I'm like, they can do that?
Yeah.
Just like, that's movie magic. Lying.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, if you take aside Universal Studios, their backlot, which they can make, they have their New York Street, and they have a lot of other things, but, they shoot a lot on location. And so, like with Seinfeld, that Central Park, they use Griffith Park for that. And you're right, Ventura Boulevard, you see that a lot. I mean, I saw it during the show, and I was like, wait a second, that's Ventura Boulevard. I know that spot right there. So it's mind-blowing because when you think about how many people see the show, all over the world and in the United States, and, they're enjoying the show. They have no idea. They just figure, well, it's New York. They're supposed to live in New York. But only if you lived out here, you would know, because you see these spots. You're like, oh, I know where that is.
As long as they get their establishing shots of
like the aerials
they're supposed to be in, and then they can do whatever they want.
Tell Luna and Dan, I gotta, because I'm saying, because you lived out here, tell them Mexican food in L.A.
A+.
There you go. See, because I was telling them that once you've lived here and had Mexican food here, you can't really go anywhere else and have it. You become spoiled.
It's true. I've also found it interesting that there are 2 like major Mexican style cuisines in the U.S. and I would say like Cali-Mex and Tex-Mex, and they're very different. And like my girlfriend is very partial to that Tex-Mex. Like she's from Minnesota, and there's a bit more of that, in different parts of America, and but nothing's like the Cali Mexican food, like the street tacos. When I first had a street taco, that changed my life almost. You know, I was used to the crunchy shell taco.
Yes.
When I was a child. Growing in Australia, you know, we'd eat them in Australia. Like, there's no Mexicans in Australia. Pretty much. I would say it's a little too far. But I mean, sure there are now. But yeah, I remember tasting that little corn tortilla, and it was mind blowing. I was, you know, and I love the Mexican and the Latin culture here. I've loved South America and Central America stuff, and the music and the people. So there's a lot of that energy here. It's why I love this city too, and the food's great though.
Yeah.
Well, I was raised in Louisiana, and my grandfather was full-blooded Spanish, and it was more Tex-Mex, and my grandmother would spend all day cooking these tacos from scratch. And it was a big occasion. The whole family would come over.
Yeah.
And she would literally fry her taco shells herself.
Oh, that sounds good.
And so when I am telling Blake about this, he's like, that's blasphemy. That's
I said it was sacrilege, actually.
Well, you know, I'm of the, there's no, taste is taste, and you know, there's only good and bad music and all this stuff, and sacrilege. You know, I'll put it this way: I can eat both of those things that you mentioned, the Cali and the Tex-Mex, and I'm just gonna throw it out here right now, okay? That I'm a huge pizza guy.
Me too.
I make pizzas, and I'm a good pizza maker, and I love pizza and Italian food and Italian American food, and I know what I'm talking about. Okay. That being said, I can totally roll with Hawaiian style. So anyone just get off your case.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like, oh, it's sacrilege. I need a pizza. Like, who fucking cares? And sorry if I cursed, but like,
no,
you know,
it's totally fine.
Yeah.
I was just giving her a hard time because
you know?
she didn't know what street tacos were, and I was trying to describe them to her. This was a few years back, and so when I was telling her, she goes, "Well, yeah, we fry up the shells, you know, like you do for tacos." I'm like, no, and she goes, "What? You don't fry your shells?" I'm like, "No." I go, street tacos, it's all about, you know, no. And I showed her a picture off the internet. I grabbed a few and I go, these are tacos out here in LA. And I showed her and she goes, huh? And she goes, they don't fry them. And I go, no. And then I told her, I go, so the way you do it, sacrilege. And she goes, no, it's not. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I was just messing with her though. I didn't mean it. But so, you know, going back to your music, actually, I did want to ask you before you mentioned about pizza. When you do make pizza, is Hawaiian your favorite pizza to make?
No, like by all means, I'm not going to go out of my way to get a Hawaiian pizza. Let's make that clear. But I enjoy it once in a while, and it is a pizza, you know. And some people are like, that's not a pizza. And there's some pretty weird pizzas out there that people consider pizzas, and not that one. I don't get it, but you know, I like a classic like Neapolitan style, like red sauce marinara, or I make like a white pizza too, kind of more like garlic olive oil based, no red sauce, and just lots of either burrata or fresh mozzarella. I take these things very seriously, you know.
Well, while we're on the subject of food, if your music was a flavor of ice cream, what would it be and why?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
If it was a flavor of ice cream, I think it would have to be Neapolitan, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and you know, it all works together. But you know, those are three distinct flavors, and I like to put a lot of different influences into my music. So it's not just really put a label on it. I think that kind of makes sense to me.
If I could ask one question of you, it would be this: what influences your music most? Because you know, when I'm listening to your entire catalog, especially the newer stuff, I'm detecting multiple influences and styles of more classic genres of music. And when I'm describing you to friends who don't know the Bish, I'm like, well, take and correct me if I'm wrong. I said take electronic music and mix it with jazz, and that's how you get Droid Bish. But of course, I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, I guess that's true for some of the tracks I've done. I wouldn't say it's like you could blanket me and then put on a song like Light Years and say like that's jazz. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so
No, yeah, I'm
some of
more
the
or less your
newer,
newer stuff. Yeah,
like a few years ago, some of that stuff was like more jazz influenced, if you will. So like maybe for a period I was kind of going into that, but like now I'm kind of tightening things up and making it a little more straight ahead electronic music with like, the nostalgic synths. And I'm trying to, things a journey and different, and I don't like to do the same stuff, but trying to keep things under the same umbrella
right.
is tricky sometimes. I think I've an artist, you want to do things you want to do and change and grow, but I think my style of thinking about art and doing whatever I want to do has maybe hurt me a little bit, because some people like, hey, I like this, but I don't like that thing that he does. And someone like I'm Cop 1983, like mostly like if you like one song, like you're gonna like his stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
you're gonna listen to that guy
Exactly.
now. You're gonna listen to that guy now. And that's why I think I don't like I don't crush it in the vinyl game. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, I sell them, but I'm not crushing it, because like, a lot of people are like, well, I like these songs, but I don't like that one or that one, so I'm not going to buy that whole record that I have to skip that song. And so as much as I'm proud to be like an artist that wants to do things differently and try to push the envelope, and I don't take this as a hobby, or it's kind of a scene where there's some hobbyists and then there's some real artists and people in the middle. I'm starting to try and focus my sound a little more to gain a bigger following and like something more cohesive, if you will, if that all makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, as an artist myself, I can fully understand, going through that kind of mentality. Because when you're going through it, you're kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, both with your own psyche and what the audience will come to love and enjoy while you're trying to craft your sound. And as a fan of yours, I would say that there's definitely I call them Droid Bishop type sounds that you
Yes.
use. Like your arpeggios, for example, or like anyone who hears your music and you hear those arpeggios that you produce so well, we instantly know it's a Droid Bishop song. And it could be
Exactly.
whether you're doing the more dreamwave, synthwave stuff from your old catalog up to the newer stuff where you're doing the more jazz stuff. When those arpeggios are popping there, or your vocals, or they're very dreamy, a lot of reverb on them, we can tell that it's you. So that's good that you've kept that kind of commonality across all your songs, no matter what kind of style that you're focusing. But I mean, as far as vinyl, I mean, I know I'm the proud owner of one. It's hanging on my wall right now with your signature on it. So,
I appreciate the support, man.
Rebirth of the Machine, I thought that was a great album, and I think that started to go down your journey of mixing it up and trying new things. But of course, I'm still a big fan of your older stuff. When people ask me, sometimes, hey, do you have a soundtrack that'd be great for playing like a space game, or I'm annihilating alien races, or I want to play a space simulator. I'm like, there's two artists I can tell you right now. The number one is Droid Bishop. The next one is Dynatron.
I knew you were going to say Dynatron.
Those, yeah. Maybe a third would be Cosmo Cocktail. I'm like, those are the three I think that would be your entire soundtrack for all of your space needs. Because there's nothing more that I would like to listen to would be songs from those three artists on repeat while I'm traveling the cosmos, especially with a name like Droid Bishop. I mean, come on. It's right there in the name, it's in the name. So, but if I were to say one more question for you, and I'll be done, is that what would you say inspired you the most to even make music?
What inspired me the most to make music?
Yeah, to get into actually crafting the music, and what inspired you for your say your initial sounds starting out?
Droid Bishop or just like music in general?
I would say that, the Droid Bishop project.
I mean, it kind of birthed out of like, I'm super into Daft Punk. That's like my favorite electronic duo, if you will.
Me too.
And I think like right before that wave of synth wave, or around, like before like Drive came out, all that stuff. Like I remember having like the Kavinsky stuff from like 2006, maybe 7, some of his things, and I gravitated towards electronic music that is, is modern, but it had some nostalgic elements. And I dabbled in electronic music. It wasn't very good. Like I came from a more of a rock background, and starting like if I'm being honest, like I feel like I just know what I'm doing right now after 10 years of Droid Bishop. So everyone can like, I like your old stuff and all that, and I never want to insult anyone and tell them like that's garbage or why do you like that? And anyone can like anything they want, but I don't personally feel like I really know what I'm doing as far as like engineering, mixing, sonic, like making everything that like have the vision that I always had until like the last year or so. And that's just acquiring knowledge and going through 10 years of off and ons of like, I'm sober now. I don't drink for the last couple of years, and, having battles of making albums while you're completely out of your mind, wasted or whatever else you're on.
Yeah.
And I know I'm kind of opening up a can here, but it's just to be like, to wrap it up, like I was influenced by Daft Punk and like Justice and a lot of French touch house music. And then, kind of started like, the Kavinsky thing happened too. I was getting to that. And then the Drive thing came out, and I started to discover some people like Power Glove and Miami Nights and Laserhawk. And I'm like, this is cool. And I felt like I could do something like that. It kind of started out a little bit, not as a goof, but just like, hey, I think I could do this. And then it just kind of fully took over a lot of part of my life. And I've been trying to make it serious for a long time now.
Wow. That's awesome to hear you say all that.
That's a great answer. And, extending on what Dan was saying, I would have to agree with him about your sound. I mean, it's like when I hear certain songs, I've heard Luna play certain things, and that I hadn't heard before. And I originally turned her on to your music years ago, but she was playing something I hadn't heard, and I was like, is that Droid Bishop by any chance? And she goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. And see, because like what Dan was saying, it's the way you play guitar, you have a signature sound, like certain chord things and stuff that you put in that when I hear it, I know it's you. There's a certain sounds, and I love them. I mean, that's what makes a Droid Bishop song. Yeah,
and those like little guitar licks that you do. It's that, and the arpeggios that you do, and certain synth sound choices, obviously. But it's a total package, and it's that rock element that I think you said you come from that rock element, but you also can't escape it, and it's part of your music. And I think it's what makes you separate from, say, the run-of-the-mill synthwave artist, because you still incorporate that rock element into your electronic music. And in my opinion, I think it's what makes you so great.
Me too. I agree with you, Dan, on that. That's the reason why I've liked his music for so long. It's great. I mean, it's just, I say, do whatever it is that you're after, but keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing something really good.
Oh yeah. Do whatever makes you happy. Just know that you're going to have fans out here who are going to love and support whatever you put out.
Well, sometimes they do.
So on July 12th, you're coming out with your new track, The Ghost in the Highway. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it's a new track that man, I started working on that last year, towards the end of the year. And, I'd released a couple albums in the last few years. And as much as I like doing that, I just didn't know what my focus was. And like I just said, I wanted to kind of, focus in on what sound I wanted to do. And going back to what I said about Daft Punk and all this more house, like electronic music, groovy dance beats. I wanted to kind of push that in that up tempo kind of danceable track, but keeping it with my sound, like you guys were mentioning, with some guitars and the arpeggios, and just I just wanted like a club banger, but keeping that nostalgic vibe, because I love all these old synths. I think when you blend them with modern production, they sound really cool. And it's hard to always look back. I don't want to look back in these terms of not looking forward, because I want to make modern music and something different. So I just kind of wanted to do something a bit different and see how it pans out. But it's an upbeat track and definitely gets the feet moving, I hope. But yeah, kind of in my mind, I'm super into kind of 70s and 80s horror movies, and kind of grindhouse cinema, exploitation cinema, and it kind of has that vibe when I listen to it, of just kind of like an old like John Carpenter scene, Mad Max, and that's kind of the vibe that I'm kind of instilling in the listener's mind a bit.
The song out of my mind, that was the very first song I ever heard by you back. I believe it was 2014. Would you mind telling me what? Because everybody, when you hear a song, a lot of times you interpret it in your own way. I think everybody does, but then the artist comes out and oftentimes they'll tell you what it's about, and it has nothing to do with what you thought. So I'm curious. Can you tell me about that song in particular?
Well, I'm not sure if you know, but that song it's not my vocals. That's my brother
Yes.
vocals on it. And so he wrote those lyrics. I just told him to, I reached out like, would you sing on something? And yeah, and I just told him, or I sent him the track, the music, and I think I just told him that line of like, it's about somebody, and like, and you just can't get him out of your mind, and it's kind of driving you
So I thought,
nuts, if you will, and you can't like eat or sleep, and I think we've all been there, some sort of love pains and whatever. And so I mean, I can't tell you what he wrote each specific line about, but that's kind of, I just told him like, it's about this, write what you want in your own way, and he did a good job with that.
yeah, the guitar playing, I absolutely loved the guitar, your guitar work on that. And I know I have it in my mind. It's like it's burned in there because I've heard the song, obviously, thousands of times. But, so I was going to ask you, so as far as like synths and everything, is there a favorite synthesizer or keyboard and stuff that you like to use a lot, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'd love to have more hardware and analog synths, but those are expensive, and space, and it's just so convenient to have everything in the box. And people can talk all they want and fight yes or no about things sounding better or worse, analog, digital. To kind of answer that question, probably the thing I love the most and what I use the most is any sort of like Roland Juno emulation, 106 or 60. And there's been different like companies throughout the years coming out with different ones. The Tal Audio, and the Arturia one is newer, and I think that one has a bit better kind of sonic starting point than the Tal Audio. If anyone cares about this stuff, the Arturia one I think is pretty solid. But that's something I love the most. There's something about I don't know, the like funk stabbiness of those chords that you hear on a lot of like cool 80s funk and dance stuff. And I think if someone was going to pick one synth to do a lot of things with, I feel like that you got the ARP on there. It's just versatile and it's easy to use. But I use a lot of other stuff, and a lot of the Arturia stuff is great. And there's so much out there. It's what you do with it, and it's the the effects that you do yourself, and trying to do something a bit different, like not using stock plugins or presets. Like if there's a preset I find that's kind of cool, I change it. I can't just like click that button and like, yep, use that preset. Like there's something that is painful for me to not do something to make it my own a little bit.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So if your music was the soundtrack for a classic 80s movie, which movie would it be, and what role would your music play in the storyline?
An interesting question, because I feel like it would depend on like what period of music that was, you know? I just feel like if I had to pick something, God, that's a hard question. And do you have something in mind? Like, I think it's this movie. I don't know.
She's got some really interesting questions.
Interesting questions, though. They make you think.
She has some really interesting ones that she's asked people, like, if you were to create a signature cocktail inspired by your music, what ingredients would you include and what would you name it? I mean, she does, she has questions like that, which are pretty cool. I mean, you don't get those every day.
Yeah, it just takes a minute to
think about it.
Well,
I am actually graduating in a couple weeks from media communications, so at least $43K is paying off.
Yeah, she's public relations and stuff. So yeah, she's definitely got. Because I mean, we were talking about this, and I had created, a set of questions that I was doing an interview, and a few people had said, "Hey, that's a really interesting question," and then she goes, "Hey, I've got some ones." I go, "All right, let's hear them." And she's like, all right, here's one for you. Imagine your music as a fashion style. How could you describe it, and what would it be the must-have accessory for anyone wanting to rock that style? And I'm like, what? Holy crap. I go, I would have never thought of that in 1,000 years. I go, I like it. That's good.
I feel like for me, these questions work better in like that they're sent to me and I can like think about it. And,
yeah, write them down.
Off the top of my head, I'm like, what ice cream is my music? I don't know. I appreciate the
interesting
creativity.
You're welcome.
I was going to say, I had a Juno 106 when I was in high school. It was my very first synth. And, it took me a long... How was that?
And you sold it, right?
Eventually, yes. And today it would be worth a fortune, of course. Exactly. But I did sell it, and I sold it to a good friend at the time. And I have no idea if he still has it today, because he's been all over the world and lived in Europe for years and years. I seriously doubt he still has it. But yeah, it would be worth a lot.
You should ask for it back, man.
You know what? That's not a bad idea. Hey, you still got that Juno that I sold you like 1,000,000 years ago? But I mainly I've got a workstation, MIDI controller, the full size one. I mainly use that, and I've got about $10,000 worth of VSTs for pretty much everything. And based on what you were saying, I would love to have a lot more analogs and stuff too, but it's like having the room for it. And then, of course, when you're talking about going after the vintage stuff, like Arturia makes some incredible stuff, and I absolutely love that brand and what they do, as far as replicating and emulating this, the sounds of some of the old synths and stuff. But to find a Jupiter 8 today or something like that, Juno 106, it's very costly to pick these things up.
$4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother has one. He's getting it fixed. He's a new sound card. He got it for like $400 like 10 years ago. And I played it a couple of times. He said I can use it and borrow it. I'm thinking of something with it, maybe some sort of video shoot or something soon. But like the VST thing, like for me, everyone has like their own workflow, their own parts of their creative personality. Like some guys that I know that are also good at writing music and producing it, they love modular or like work. They love shaping sounds, and as much as I like want to do that, like it's not the forefront of my need of like spending hours like turning knobs, like so whatever's going to get me to the canvas quicker, to like the melody is what I care about the most, like the beats and the melody. That's got to happen quickly. So sometimes I just start with presets or things that I have set up, my own stuff, and then I'll write things and then I'll change them. As I go along, change the sounds. But a lot of the time though, sounds can inspire what you're doing. Like you come across a patch and it's like some growly thing, and you're like, oh.
I'm going to write a song around this.
It shifts what you were going to do. Like you open up a thing to start something, and then a sound pops up, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll take it in this direction. And so it just depends on your workflow and what you want to do. But whatever's going to get me, I've got templates ready to go, so I can just start. I don't have to like fiddle and set things up from the get go. And I think that's a good thing for any creative person, editing, music, whatever, computer. Have your templates and little things to cut time out. Doesn't mean everything's going to sound the same. Believe me, it won't. It's just kind of like you have your drum thing set up, so it's just ready to go, and you can make beats. And I always have this side chain thing set up on my template, so I don't have to worry about that. That's already in there, and the beats are all, I don't know if this is making sense to anyone, but it's just...
It makes sense. There's a lot of musicians that listen to the station. A lot of musicians listen to the station. And, of course, a lot of non-musicians, too. So we all understand what you're talking about, especially when it comes to flow, because, I was mentioning to you that, I started in radio, and then I went to the tech field for about 20 years. And now I'm back in radio, but I've been back in radio for 7 years. And I'm still part-time in the tech field. But one thing I learned in the tech field is about efficiency and, well, like you said, workflow. So I think what you're saying is actually really, really good to have templates when you're doing music, stuff that you've already done that you can cut down on your development time and say, you know what, I'm going to put this in here for now and then work on the melody. And then you can either leave that, that rhythm or whatever in there, or you could change it down the road. You can say, you know what, I don't think I'm going to use this. After all, I'm going to keep the melody, but I'm going to use a different drum beat. I think I'm going to bring this down to a 120 instead of 130. So I think a lot of people understand exactly what you're talking about. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, workflow, it just makes, when you, as far as creating, especially if you're on a schedule, I mean, if you're, because, there's some people, well, I don't know, they turn out like, I'm not saying everybody has to do this, but some people have a personal schedule that they want to turn out 2 or 3 albums a year, which to me is just mind-boggling. And there's,
I mean,
what was that?
I won't even comment on that.
But the only way that would be possible is if you had, like you're saying, templates would work, your workflow set up. I mean, to have to do it from scratch. I mean, I've heard of some artists taking years to write stuff, and then other times they have a song and they come up with it in like 20 minutes, so it just, I guess, adds a lot to the mood.
There's no rule, and you can spend 20 years on something and it could be good or crap, or you can spend 5 seconds on something and it could, be the best song ever or the best melody. And there's no answer. And, I mean, trying to balance putting out too much music versus too little and like how much you're supposed to spend on, like, because I do have like the life clock thing ticking in. You can all go at any minute, and a lot of people I look up to died very young, and I'm always trying to balance, like, just do what you can, do what you can while you're here, but then you don't want to oversaturate. And I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan, and they're the only band I can like think about in my brain right now that they came out with an album every year. And like I don't know any other band that, especially that kind of music, and I don't know. So I don't know how they did it. But today with computers, I mean, you could put out an album every week if you really wanted to work hard. But
speaking of Iron Maiden, so I mean, what would your favorite Iron Maiden song be? Or your favorite album?
That's a tough thing. I'll right off the bat, I'll say, like, if it gun to my head, I'm gonna pick the original Iron Maiden lineup, at least to the singer. Like Paul Di'Anno, the first 2 albums. I love all the other albums too, and I love Bruce, and I think that his sound created this kind of heavy metal vocal style between him and Rob Halford. But There's something really cool about those first two Iron Maiden records. They're kind of punkish. They're kind of just like gritty rock and roll with the, when I started to hear this music with these like twin guitar harmony solos, that it's mind blowing when you're 12 years old. I'd always listened to Queen. Queen has been one of my favorite bands ever since, I could remember. Those songs are everywhere when you're in any stage of your life. So I always kind of knew the Brian May harmony thing. That's just on another level. So I didn't really like put that together until later. But when I started hearing these metal bands with the two guitars, then Metallica was doing that and stuff, just it stayed with me. You can hear that like I put like 3 harmony guitars on a bunch of stuff, and it's just something cool about that. And like I'll never like. It's like you guys said, mixing this kind of rock with electronic music, and I don't know. I love all sorts of music, but if you're into metal and you're a metalhead when you're a kid, like you're always a metalhead.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's just you're not. I'm wearing cutoff sleeves right now. You know what I mean? It's not. It's just something that's in you. It's not. It's different than other genres. I feel like there's a very identity based quality there.
I agree with you on that. When thinking about what you're saying about the harmony of, the guitars being layered and stuff, another thing that was interesting about that era, around 1983, a lot of the bands, when you're talking about Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, not Iron Maiden so much, but probably more Judas Priest, you can hear where they did a changeover in the drums. They were using a single kick drum, and then when they went to I forgot the name of the album that has Electric Eye on it. Screaming for Vengeance.
Screaming for Vengeance.
Yeah, that's
the Hellion.
The Hellion. Yeah, well, they changed to a double,
awesome,
double bass drum from there on out. Like every album. I mean, if you go back and listen to, I think it's called Live in the East, the old, because I have that on CD somewhere, but you can hear they're playing with a single bass drum. And then all of a sudden, when they had this, the Screaming for Vengeance, and then the turbo one, I think that came after it or something.
Yeah.
They changed to the double kick drum, and it just drove people wild. Even I, as a, preteen and a teenager, I love that double kick. It was like, and I'm like, yeah, just gets you, pumped up and everything. But
I mean, if you understand metal and if you get it, then you get it. If you don't, then you don't get it. Do you know what I mean? Like some like primal, just one note of like a chunky, like it does something to my brain, like the guitar, some like the Pantera, like walk riff, like it seems kind of primitive and basic, and it's not really melodic to a degree, but there's something about that sound. If you get it, you get it. And if you don't, then, it's just noise to you. And the double kick thing, I remember you getting Slayer records, and there's this break in Angel of Death when it's just double kick. And, your head explodes.
Yeah.
When you're forward. I would just go back to that part and just wait for that break of the double kick. And you'd get on your friend's kit with a double kick, and everyone just tries to play as fast as everyone's legs are wobbling, like it's like all out of time.
So you have a show coming up in Portland, Oregon with Let 'Em Riot and Night Rider 87. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, that is July 8th in Portland, Oregon, PDX at the Get Down. A cool club up there. I've never played there, but I've heard good things, and should be a good show. Working on the set right now, actually, before I was talking to you, and got about 18 songs in there, and seemingly like the set is being finalized, but just kind of working things out and making some synth patches to play live, and so it's cool. I haven't played a show since the end of last year, and I'm looking forward to getting out there. So everyone, come out and buy your tickets. July 8th, Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, that should be a really good gig. A good friend of mine from school days lives in Portland, and he used to roadie with Van Halen back in the day, and so he knows all of these people. And last weekend, Luna, was it last weekend or the weekend before that Mikey was hanging out with Mark Slaughter and Great White?
Oh, nice.
2 weeks ago, yes.
2 weeks ago. And he hangs out with these guys all the time. They remember him from the old days and stuff. And and he's always telling me, about these people, because I tell him about the synthwave artists that we talk to and that we deal with and stuff, and he finds it really, really cool. But he's a metalhead at heart, and so next thing I know, I see him, he's like with Don Dokken or whatever, and he goes, "Hey, check this out," and I'm like, oh, Don Dokken, really? Come on, ay. But that should be a good concert.
I need to connect with this guy.
I'll connect you with him. That's not a problem. His name is Mike Campbell, but I'll hook you up with him. He's pretty cool. I've known him since I don't know, the 5th grade. Yeah, we go way, way back. And but yeah, I mean, when Slash came to Portland, I think that was last November. He's like, "Hey, guess where I'm at?" And then he sends me pictures of like the limo and stuff, and he's like with Slash, and they're going into this club in Portland. It might have been the Get Down for all I know. And I was like, "Hey, that's the back area where they bring the artists in." He goes, "Yeah, man, it's cool." And I'm like, lucky dog. But
in the dream.
Yeah, he's living the dream. I know you're running out of time. And
I got some time.
Oh,
do you want to keep going? If you want to kick me off, that's fine too. But
no.
I got a little time. Let's just keep going until
I just want to be considerate and respectful.
No, I appreciate that. I just things are going quick, and I'm my own boss, which is good. But I'm just
that's the best.
I can take some leeway here and push another 15 minutes or so.
Well, let me ask you something. This is a question that Luna also brought up. She created, but I've been asking people too. If you could perform a concert anywhere in the world, I mean, and I'm not talking Portland, I'm talking about, it doesn't have to be an arena or a club or anything, but anywhere. It could be the, I don't know, the art, what's that, the Arc in, I can't think of the name of it, I'm sorry. Slipping my mind. You could be at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower, anywhere you want, but if you could perform a concert.
Arc de Triomphe, is that what you're going to
say? Yes. Well, they have the Tour de France. They ended cool. there. I mean, they're going to be having a Tour de France starts next
real
week.
Easy for you, and the answer is the Hollywood Bowl.
Who else said that, Luna? Like 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? It wasn't UAP that said that. Another artist recently told us that they would pick the Hollywood Bowl also, that's where they would want to do it.
I mean, I've been going there for years, and going back to the Los Angeles thing, like I love that venue, and I've seen so many different types of music there. I see tons of orchestra play. I see John Williams every year pretty much. But I remember being really blown away by, I saw M83 there they played with the orchestra. It was right after, it was when they were very hot with the Midnight City, and they had just done the Oblivion soundtrack, that movie with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Which is a big budget ripoff of Moon. If you ever see that movie, it's just check it out.
Check it out.
And it was awesome. And that kind of like maybe answered Dan's question before. That was 2013. I was just starting Droid Bishop, and I was like, this is what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Like, I want to play a show like that, and a big show, not necessarily with an orchestra like that would be great, but that was a real game changer for me. And so, yeah, Hollywood Bowl, that would be a nice experience.
I remember when I was a teenager, the first time I went there to the Hollywood Bowl, and it was in the summertime, and they have the orchestra thing in the summertime, and they do, like they have one night where they do all movie soundtracks, movie scores, and I was in high school, I think, and my band teacher took us all. I mean, he had he borrowed his daughter's station wagon or something, and he took us, and we drove over there, because I grew up in like the Arcadia, Pasadena area, and I know you know where that is. So we drove over there, and I had never been to the Hollywood Bowl. I'd seen it, but I'd never been to an actual performance. And I saw the Philharmonic play there, and I was under the stars. It was a nice warm night, and it was a memory that's ingrained in my brain to this day. And I went back several times afterwards, but that first time, it was magical. I'd never done anything like that before, and so I got to agree with you. The Hollywood Bowl has a certain, I don't know, something about it, but it would be incredible to perform there, I think.
Yeah, and I'm huge into architecture, and like Art Deco style is probably one of my favorites, and that's from the Art Deco era. It's just very old LA to me. And for anyone who lives around here, like that doesn't know, like the orchestra is an amazing experience, and you can get tickets for no joke like $1 if you want. Like you can get tickets between $1 and like $30 depending on where you want to sit, but it's an experience. Like you said, you don't know what moves you really until like it happens, and you're like, oh my god, that's what music's supposed to be like, and
Yeah,
that's the
and
place where it can happen.
Yeah.
And speaking of that type of music, your rendition of Claire de Lune was so
That was great.
incredible and so
Oh my God.
beautiful. And I love that song as it is, but you took it and you just made it magic.
Oh, I appreciate it. So I didn't butcher it for you in your,
No.
in your
No,
dreams.
you did. You have no idea how many times I have played that song on my show already, and people try getting sick of it, but I absolutely love your rendition of that song.
I appreciate it. Yeah, not that I'd thought about doing that for, I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, but that's a piece of music. When I heard that and consciously heard it, it's so famous that I would have heard it in like I think it might have been even in a Ren and Stimpy cartoon before I acknowledged what it was. But when someone sent it to me, many years ago when I was younger, and I heard this, still to this day, I would say that that's the most perfect piece of music ever written. And, just trying to do my own thing with it, but knowing like, you can't do it better. Like, don't try to, that's a tough one to kind of do. And I'm glad you like it, I guess, what I'm saying. Like if someone asked me what my favorite piece of music was, that's the answer. Claire de Lune.
No, you shot it out of the stratosphere, man. I mean, it's so good.
Thank you.
You know what you were saying about the architecture, the Art Deco, that you do see a lot of remnants of that in Los Angeles that's left over from the 1930s. I'm curious because, assuming, well, based on some of the things that you said, I'm assuming you've been in Southern California a long time. So I was going to ask you, did you ever have the opportunity to see the Pan American Ballroom before it burned down?
You mean at the Pan Pacific Park?
Yeah, it was over there by CBS on Beverly.
Wilshire.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And no, I never saw it. To my knowledge, I don't think I may have went there as a kid or something. But no, I never saw it before it burned down. Do you remember that movie Miracle Mile?
I do remember it, but I vaguely remember it because it came out a long time ago.
Yeah, it was like 1988. I'm sidetracking. It's a great movie and great Tangerine Dream soundtrack. But there's a lot of stuff in that area. It's Mid Wilshire, Miracle Mile, and like the Pan Pacific still there, the theater. But yeah, no, that comes up. The Pan Pacific. My parents still live around that area, and I lived over there a couple years ago. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things like that. I like looking at these Instagram or blog accounts of pictures side by side of like what the street looks like now and what it did, in the 30s, and what's there, what's gone. And it's crazy to think what will be here in 200, 1,000 years. Will anyone remember anything? Is it what? I don't know. It's like the Planet of the Apes with the Statue of Liberty sticking out of the
beach.
Yes.
That's I was gonna say that on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a poster on there. It's a company called NAS, and it's N is in November, ASS, so NAS, and they go and they take old footage that is from the turn of the century in a lot of American cities, and they've done a lot of Los Angeles from like 1906, 1930s, 1940s, and so on and so on. And it is fascinating to see when you look at the city of Los Angeles of what it looked like in the 1950s as opposed to what it looks like today. And I mean, it was a whole different world. This was a world that my grandparents knew that I never knew. And it just looked, I mean, sure, the city hall is still there. It's always been there. But everything else that we know there today wasn't there. It was gone. I mean, or not even gone. It just didn't exist. Somebody didn't think it up yet.
I know, and that's the city hall thing is interesting because that's the Deco style, and that's one of the only remaining things, and that's why any period piece of Los Angeles establishing shot is just of that building.
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing that remains to a degree. Yeah, I mean, what it would have been like to party in the 40s or something in Hollywood.
Yeah.
What a time. What a time.
Yeah, the golden age. And,
Yeah.
I'm always drawn to that Art Deco era with the Great Gatsby. And
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I just love that era. And I'm sure I had a past life in that era. I'm positive I did because I'm just so drawn to it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Old souls living
Yeah.
another life.
Yes.
That Pan American Ballroom, I actually went there several times before it burned down. I used to work down in the area, and I used to eat my lunch in the abandoned parking lot. They had weeds growing out of it. I used to go and pull my Mustang in there, and I'd, go get like food or something, and I'd sit there eating and just looking at the place, thinking about the movie Xanadu. And
oh, yeah,
the architecture and that movie. And I was just thinking, God, man, in that movie, it was so grand and so amazing and so magical. And here I'm looking at it, and it was like a shadow of its former self. And
great Electric Light Orchestra soundtrack too.
Yeah, Electric Light Orchestra did that, an incredible job on that. And it was sad when I found out that they had burned down. I had a tear in my eye. I was upset because it was a deep part of the Los Angeles past, and the architecture is so unique that, I mean, sure, you can look at pictures of it on the internet, and people do have that. I've actually recreated a copy of it here in the Metaverse. In the Metaverse, I built an entire city.
Oh,
and
cool.
The Pan American Ballroom, it's
nice.
It's there. So
it lives on.
It lives on.
Lives on.
Exactly.
Well,
So-
all these like old theaters are like either abandoned or converted into like a bookstore, or a lot of like churches are renting them out, and it's kind of sad to see these movie theaters that are shutting down or no longer here, or like clubs are constantly shutting down. Like now the Viper Room's going in Hollywood, and that hasn't been the same for many, many years. And I didn't even get to experience the real raucous of the strip in the 80s. But it's it just seems like what matters to us, or people like us, or they're just trying to, like, what do you, another freaking parking lot over this awesome thing that we like? Stop.
Yeah.
Just, I don't even know. Just don't get me started. I'm already started, but it's insane. Like, can we not just, like, I hear these things about the Hollywood sign, like being in jeopardy all the time. I'm like, sign a bill that's like, this is always going to be here. Like, why do people have to donate every year for that Hollywood sign to, I don't know. I probably sound insane, but it's like, can we just keep a couple things, historical value here?
No, I actually agree with you on that. And I actually met the man whose realty company put the Hollywood sign up years ago, because when
Hollywoodland.
Yeah, Hollywoodland. One of my friends, when he went off to college, he had gone to Chico, and when he came back, he was away at college for like 5 years, and when he came back, he got a place over off of Gower, just south of Paramount Studios, and so he was renting a room from a guy named Ed. He was a really old guy, and he was the nicest guy in the world. I met him, and he was really cool, and he had this really neat 1930s era architectured house that was there in Hancock Park. And it turns out this guy's a guy, well, he still worked. Even, most people were retired here. He was like 70 something, almost 80 years old. And he was still working in real estate. And the original place that sold all that land, that was his realty company. And he still worked there. He worked there till the day he died. He loved it. Absolutely loved it. And he was a great guy.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, I guess he's partly responsible for that sign being up there. Him and some other people. So I hope they never take it down, because it is part of the the history of the area and stuff. And I think it's really cool that you understand, because you've lived here a long time, how important some of the architecture from the old stuff is. I was telling Luna the other day, I said, movie night at the Roxbury with Chris Kattan?
Yeah.
And I was telling her, I said, the original Roxbury was not at the building that they had in the movie.
That was the Key Club or something.
Yeah,
when it was the Key Club, it was Gazari's at the, that thing's been like 4 clubs already since my life.
I remember it as Gazari's, and then it became Key Club afterwards and stuff.
Yeah, and then now it's the Oaks, One Oaks or something. I don't know. It was. I wish I went to it with the Gazari's and Van Halen playing back in the day, but
they launched a lot of people from there. A lot of big stars went through Gazari's. I mean, Bill Gazzari had more people that were found.
Gazzari.
Yeah, the old guy.
What a character. Yeah, I know. I've seen I don't know what it was I've seen it a million times, the Decline of Western Civilization documentary, The Metal Years.
Yeah.
And there's a whole Gazzari's thing on there, and him judging the swimsuit contest. Let's just say he seemed like a happy old man.
Yeah. Yeah, he used to do a commercial where, he was dressed like a mobster and he had the hat and everything. Nice suit. And he's like, "Hi, I'm Bill Gazzari." And he goes, "I've had more people come through here." He goes, "People become famous in my place." And I remember they used to have that. But I was telling Luna, that I told her, I said, the Roxbury in the movie was not the original Roxbury. I said it was actually up near Crescent Heights Boulevard on Sunset. And I was telling her that when they actually closed the Roxbury down, that they turned it into another club called Miyagi's, like Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I used to go there. And I don't know what it is now because I haven't been over there in a while. But, so much has changed. But the architecture right across there's a place called the St. James Club. It's
I know that one.
Yeah, the Sky Bar up at the top.
It's in that little corner of Sunset, right? In Crescent Heights. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just west of there's a tall white building. It has old Art Deco architecture, and it's really tall. It's almost near where they used to have the
the Standard.
Yeah, near the Standard
Hotel. Right?
Yeah, it's near the Standard.
Across from Carney's, the train hot dog spot, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so the building goes really, really, really tall. The Standard, I think, is only like 2 or 3 floors. But when you look at this building, it goes up like probably hundreds of feet. And there's a swimming pool and everything up on the top. And they have a place called the Sky Bar. And it's by where they used to have Sylvester Stallone and what's his face. They had a club that was there. It was called the Thunder Road or something like that. Oh, something Ranch is what it was. I've been there a couple times, but it was a long time ago.
Oh, the Saddle Ranch.
Saddle Ranch. Yeah, there.
I know, with the mechanical bull, right?
Yep. Yep.
I spent a lot of time in that strip area. I used to play those clubs all the time when I was in like my teens and 20s, like in rock and metal bands, like the Key Club and Whiskey, and you'd pay to play. You'd have to
Yep.
You'd have to finagle your family and friends. It's such a different time because I was never one of those people that needed their mom to come out and support them. I'm glad I had supportive parents, but it's not something I needed. But it was great to have friends and people buy tickets. But now what I'm doing, I don't want, someone knows me and they want to come to the show, you have to kind of babysit a lot of people sometimes. And I'm just don't just let me do my show. And I don't know. I'm not really saying this as clear or as kind as I want it to sound, but it's a different time where I don't tell family members sometimes when I'm going to that city, or I just want to do my thing. And I don't need your support as family. It's not hey, uncle, whatever, this isn't your type of music. You don't need to come and support me. Only want real people that want to hear the music in front of me now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Cause you want to know who your fans are.
Yeah, I don't need grandma waving in the back. Oh, this one sounds good.
So, with your fan base, can you tell us what the weirdest interaction you've had with the fan?
Yeah, I met this guy Dan in Philadelphia one time.
Totally not a stalker, not a stalker.
I don't know what you get some I guess I won't really go into details, but you get some interesting messages and things from people. And someone started following everyone that I followed, and like they like started following all my family members, and I'm pretty sure that this person went through everyone that I was following on Instagram and just pressed follow because somehow I discovered it, or I was like, I don't know, I checked out their page. I wanted to see what was up because it was a little weird, and I just saw all their followers were just my followers. Like you don't know my cousin Bob. Like, why are you following? Like, it was strange.
It's creepy.
I'm not going to call anyone out, but there's things like that, and I don't know. Sometimes you insult people, or people take things the wrong way, and like I can be a super chill, nice guy, but I can also be pretty protective and a little, I don't know, like I'm not going to submit to something that's not right, or but you can't, like, it's a tough thing where it's like, yeah, but I don't want to insult this person, like they're clearly like a huge fan, and you don't want to lose them, but you can't give them your bloody finger that they wanted from you. That's a joke. Like, that never happened. But you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of like, if they buy my records, maybe I will send my underpants to them. Like, you just don't know what to do anymore, and you got to be careful what you say, what you don't say, what information you give out. Like, I like to be myself and I'm not, I don't have some persona that's not me. I'm pretty much me at all times, with different flavors, but you want to show yourself to people, but at the same time you have to kind of like pick and choose, like, well, what's going to be out there, how much of them do I want to know? Like, I don't know, there's just a lot to consider, and it's only gotten weirder and wilder with like internet, and it's weird out there.
It is weird. Society has gotten so emotional, and everybody's feelings is on their shoulders all of a sudden, and they have an opinion about everything. And so it's very hard to even have an opinion anymore because everybody's crying about something.
It's hard for people to just accept that, you're not always going to agree with everybody, or they're not going to always agree with you, but that doesn't mean you can't be friends. And that doesn't mean that you don't have common ground. I mean, I'm a pretty open person for the most part, but yet I'm still private too. And I have boundaries, and I have a line that I don't step across with people, and I expect people not to step over that line either. And, as far as supporting people, I support everyone's right to be happy, whatever that happiness is going to take them, so long as they're not killing animals or hurting kids or whatever. As long as they're not doing that, it's like, fine, go out there, whatever. And, but my support only goes as far as that line. And once you cross that line, you start killing kids or start hurting animals or whatever it is, then my support stops. And that's, the Aries in me.
That's a fair line.
Yeah.
Murdering children.
I gotta draw it somewhere. You gotta draw the line somewhere. And it's like, hey, we want to be open and friendly to people and to everybody, but that only goes so far. Even with fans, it's like, hey, I love you guys, and I appreciate that you listen to my music and that you want to buy it and everything. But that thing that you're doing there in the back, I can't support that. No.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'll say that no artist has done anything without the fans and people who listen to their music, and I love the people who support me, and it's it's a huge part of what I do, and most of them are cool, but like, just one thing that kind of just gets on me is when like you're called out for something that, like, I don't like that new album that you made, and it's like, that's fine if you think that, but like, you don't need to tell a person you say that you're a fan of, you don't need to tell that person who's also a human being, also an artist who's probably sensitive, like, you don't like their thing. Like, I can come across like, haha, I've got it all together, and I'm down on my feet are on the ground, but like, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a pretty sensitive person, like to criticism, and I'm a freaking artist. You know what I mean? The same thing that makes me good at what I do musically, to connect with people emotionally, is the same thing that takes me down when someone says thing negative or whatever. It's like, you can think that. Do you know how many albums I don't like by certain favorite bands of mine? But I'm not gonna like email their management and or
Right,
I don't know.
exactly.
Like
Well,
like
it's
I don't owe you anything.
Yes.
Like I gave you your album that you like of mine. So unless you paid money for an album and you don't like it, that's one thing. But let's be real. You listened to my album for free on streaming and you told me you don't like it. You know?
I know. I
Yeah,
agree with you 100% because the way
Buy
I
a shirt and then tell me your opinion and maybe I'll listen. But
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
you know, the artists, the music artists provide the soundtrack to our lives, you know, and they do. I mean, between you and like Dan he has his band. Me, I used to be in bands a long time ago. I wish I still was. I just don't have time for it anymore. But the thing is that musicians create the soundtrack that we all live to. And we all go through things in life. Like, you know, there's weddings. There's a time you meet that person that's special. And these songs are playing in your head for whatever reason. You remember certain songs that you relate to certain situations and certain people. This is the gift that musicians give to the listeners of the world. It's a gift, but it is not anything that's owed by the musicians to the people of the world. So I say, you know what, if you don't like somebody's music or whatever, fine. You get to have that opinion. You don't like it, great. You don't like it. But you don't, like you were saying, you don't need to like contact their management and say, hey man, you know what? Tell them I said go eat a bag of shit. And it's like, you know, it's like, why? Why? It's like, you know what? You think you can do better? Come up here and show me what you recorded. Show me what you did.
Get it? Exactly. But you know, we talk about opinions and you can't share them and all this stuff. Like, believe me, like my friends or my girlfriend hears plenty of like things that I'll never say on the air of some shitty movie and like why it's terrible. And believe me, I go off on commercials, like, see why this commercial doesn't make any sense. Da, 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 da. But I'm not going to like tell the person who created it that. Like, everyone can have their opinion. And like these nut jobs on like IMDb, like just like 20 paragraphs, like 1 star on a movie. It's like, get a freaking life, man.
I
like
know.
Get a freaking life.
It's
And
unbelievable.
You look at all the reviews that they have. Sometimes I go through rabbit holes and I want to see like what's in somebody's mind. And like you click on someone else and all of their reviews are just bad. It's like, do you ever give a good review? Like, you are a clear troll hater.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I just don't vibe with that. I don't vibe with that. And I'm sure someone right now is listening and be like, that's me. I don't like this guy anymore. Whatever. Like, you're part of the problem, man.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have any sympathy. Like, say it to someone's face or don't say it at all. Like, seriously.
Just
I
because you
swear
graduated from
some people get off on that stuff. You know, it's like their pride and joy is get off
Well,
of
if they're miserable.
negativity.
It's like the easiest psychological evaluation of like people who are mean to other people or like cruel or trolls online. They are miserable
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
lonely.
Exactly.
And like, I feel for those people. I do, because it sucks. But like, I don't like. We're off on another tangent, but like, I'm sorry, you're lonely or you were picked on. That doesn't mean you can go shoot up something or like go end someone's life.
Absolutely.
Like, you had a hard time in high school. Like, I'm sorry. Like stop it.
Right.
Well, yeah,
like-
but
Exactly.
I am a firm believer that we define who we are despite the circumstances, and you can let circumstances overcome you, or you can overcome the circumstances. But
Exactly.
we all have
Absolutely.
a choice in the end, and we all have free will, and it's what we do with those free will choices. You can't blame your parents for anything. You can't blame your friends, because in the end, you choose your life and how you're going to live it.
That's right.
You said it right there.
It's all about choice. Maybe we could write a song about that, about choice. Because really, I mean, it comes down to that for everything that we do. I mean, like, you came here today and we're honored that you're here, but you made a choice. And of course, we want to give you the best experience here possible. But, it all comes down to choices. Every single day we make thousands of them, and they basically, chisel out the path in our lives. The choices, everything from the smallest ones to the biggest ones, and I'd say, you know what? I got some work that I got to get done today and everything, because I got a deadline due by Friday. But you know what? I feel like kicking back and listening to DROID Bishop for the next 2 hours. So, it's great.
Exactly.
It's a choice. I made a
Yeah.
choice.
Glad
you know?
my music can get people fired. You know.
If I could hijack the conversation for a natural segue real
Of
quick,
course you can.
it would be the fact of coming from, an avid listener of Joy Bishop music and a fan. You talk about, being the musicians make the soundtrack of our lives. And,
Yes.
and something I just want to share that was very touching. Sometimes the music, it gets us through the happy times. It gets us through, driving, a vacation, or a death in the family, stuff like that happens. And the certain sounds and music that we listen to can somehow shape it. And it can either make it worse or it can make it better. You can get through where you're going. Like, for example, there's always a set. I have a certain playlist that's loaded up in the family car, which is my wife's minivan. But there's Joy Bishop songs in there, So, when I want to go somewhere where it's like, okay, I got to take the kids to, Boy Scouts, or, I got to take my daughter to gymnastics class or whatever, what's going on? It's going to be, In Search of Gemini, or, In Your Love, but there was a certain song that I think, James, you wrote about loss that got me through the death of my father-in-law. And my father-in-law was one of my very best friends. He understood me like probably no one else. Married to my mother-in-law, and like mother, like daughter, they're almost the same kind of person. So he's having problems with her, he's talking to me. I'm having problems with my wife, I'm talking to him. And in 2020, he left us. It wasn't COVID related, but he had a hernia, and an aneurysm went to his brain. But at the time, sleeping with the stars is what got me through that. It broke me down inside. Like, I had to come to terms with grief, because I deal with grief in probably different ways than a normal human being would deal with. I'm usually not the person crying. I'm the person just statuesque and just burying all the feelings deep inside. But Sleeping with the Stars, that really hit home. And I just wanted to personally say thank you for writing that song and it making my emotional discomfort so much better once I was able to get through the grief. I actually had the song on repeat. So just wanted to say thank you.
Appreciate you saying that. I'm glad that it could help you out in the dark times. That's what music should do, kind of either help you out in the dark time or elevate a good time. I mean, there's many flavors of what music do, but I appreciate you sharing that, man. And I'm glad I could help a small, if I did.
Yeah, I pointed out, I was telling Dan that there was a lot of people that were disappointed in their Spotify numbers, like back in December. And I went into one of the synth groups on Facebook, and I basically say, hey, look, listen up, everybody. I've been reading, your woes about your synthwave numbers or your Spotify numbers. And I felt bad that they would feel this bad, because these were people that I respect a lot, and I see them as incredible artists, and the fact that their Spotify numbers were actually bringing them down. I mean, I couldn't understand why. It's like Spotify is not everything. And so I came on and said, look, you know what, you guys, I want you to know that somebody somewhere today, somebody didn't kill themselves because they heard a song that you wrote. Somebody decided to propose to their future partner because of a song you wrote. And I gave like 5 examples like that were really deep. And I said, you have no idea just how much your music can affect people and help them, either elevate a good situation or help them through a dark time. Somebody might have jumped off a roof today, and they decided, they were listening to the song over and over again. They're like, you know what? No, he's right. I mean, I got more to live for. Well, I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm not going to do this. And it's things like this that it makes it all worthwhile. That's like Spotify numbers are good, but they don't mean jack shit when you think about the real true value of what music can do. Music can save.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I probably have to take off after we finish on this note, but like to jump into what you're saying, like you're absolutely right about you don't know what you're doing for someone, a stranger right now, and I've had messages over the years and people saying like I'm going through a hard time and your music's getting me through it, and you know that's what it's about, because I'm not doing this for like money, and that's not the main thing. Like you want to get money, you want to get paid, you want to live. The main thing is to give back what I was given from my favorite bands and things, like, you know, a song helping you out or just elevating your mood and feeling those music goosebumps and you know, so that's totally true what you're saying, but definitely as an artist and someone who's like taking their moves seriously, like you get bonked down with those streaming numbers, and you know you're comparing yourself to someone else and like why do they have more and all these numbers, and they don't make any sense. Like someone could have 100,000 Instagram followers but very little Spotify followers, and vice versa, and you know, and these numbers can drive you nuts, and sometimes I get pretty depressed or sometimes you're feeling good about your numbers, but I would say that you are right about a lot of that, but as an artist, like I can't deny that these numbers, you know, don't mean anything to me, because that's also how I make my money too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'm actually a lucky person where, look, I want to be eons from where I am now, like a higher echelon. But that being said, I'm more less than the average career musician artist because I'm able to pay my bills with this stuff. Like I don't have another job. And like that's even a feat in itself. I shoot for the stars and it ain't good enough for me. Do you know what I mean? Like like I'm lucky and I'm blessed and I'm not going to take that for granted. But I'm not content. That makes sense.
Yeah, I would say a good majority of the artists in our community have day jobs. You know, they have a career, you know, they're an engineer, a teacher, they're waiting tables or something. So I think that a lot of them would like to get to a point with their music that, you know, that they can do that full time. Although I have interviewed a few big artists that said, no, actually they like the career that they have and they mainly do this on the side, which kind of blew my mind because you never know what people's motivations are. And then they tell you, no, actually, you know, I like this and, you know, I do this too and I enjoy it, such and such. But I know that you got to get out of here and everything like that. And I just want to say to you, on behalf of KSWV Radio Shockwave, myself, Luna, and Dan of RetroSynth Records here, I'd like to say thank you for coming in. And I'm honored that we got the chance to finally interview you and everything. And I just appreciate you giving your time and agreeing to the interview. And it's been fun hanging out with you too, man, you know?
Oh yeah, I know. I appreciate you guys having me on here, and yeah, it was a fun chat. It's always nice to do these things. Like once you get it locked in, you're like, okay, like you start talking to the people, and you know, it just feels like you're hanging out, which is cool.
Yes.
And the questions were painless, other than some of those creative ones I could not answer off the top of my head. If you were a sandwich, and your music was the cheese in the sandwich, I'll think about those answers though, and I'll write a physical letter and send them into your.
Well, how about if I write you a list of questions and you can answer, and we'll have a written interview too.
All right, sounds good.
You know what? I'll tell you. There's one more thing that I will do. I'm going to find out who big is coming to town. That you know from Mike and everything. And if it's somebody, you know, I'll let you know who it is. And if it's somebody you're interested in seeing, I'll see if we can get you to go, you know, meet up with him, whatever. And
hey, keep me posted.
Yeah, because I talk to him all the time on Facebook, and he calls me like, you know, he calls me once or twice a month. We used to talk every week, but he's been really busy lately. But yeah, you know, because like I said, 2 weeks ago, it was like Mark Slaughter and Great White, and I was like, hey, you know what? I've got the entire CD autographed by the entire band Slaughter that, you know, they gave me like years ago. I have no idea what it's worth today or whatever. I don't think I'd ever sell it. You know, it's just it has a lot of sentimental value. But anyway, have an incredible day. Thank you for being here, and we wish you lots of luck and great fortune and all the good stuff with your further music. And as far as the track on the 12th, is there a CD coming along with that? I mean, an album or?
There will be. I'm still trying to figure things out, but this is kind of the first track off of, like, without giving too many details, I've got a few different releases that I'm working on, like, as in, like, different albums or EPs, and this one is going to be the first of, like, more straight ahead, up tempo vibes. So that's like the first track from that series of music.
Awesome.
I'm still trying to. Like I said earlier, it's tough for me and my personality sometimes because I've got too much I want to do, and sometimes you just have to pick. Like, okay, I need to focus on this right now, and so I've got a lot. I've probably got like 20 different tracks at the time right now that are for different projects. I'm just trying to figure out when to release things and. But yeah, that track on July 12th, Ghost in the Highway. Expect that to move your feet, and many more to come.
We're going to be playing that as the outro song as you go out the door.
Rock
the new
and roll.
Song. Yeah, we're going to play
But
it.
thanks for having me on. I enjoyed chatting, and it's nice to chat with new people.
It was a pleasure.
Yes, it was a great pleasure, and you are now a part of the Neon Knights family in the server, so you now have an open door to pop in.
Rock and roll.
If you ever want to pop in on Saturday night, just come by.
Us. So just pop us a message, like, I want to hang out a couple minutes, and just come in.
Sounds good.
All right, we're wishing you the best, mate. Cheers.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Take care.
See ya.
All right. I'm thinking, did that just happen? Yeah, it did. All right.
Great.
That was the conclusion of our artist interview, more like a hangout with an old friend. Really cool guy. And amazing, and hopefully soon to be super legendary, because I think he's legendary, but he should be super legendary. But we're going to be wrapping everything up here with a song by Droid Bishop. It's the one that we've been talking about, his new track that's going to be releasing on July 12th. And so we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to turn you guys back over to the station cloud afterwards. So here is the Ghost and doggone it, I always say the Ghost in the River, and it's not the Ghost.
The Ghost in the Highway.
The Ghost in the Highway by Droid Bishop, and you heard it here on Radio Shockwave. This is Blake Coverdale.
And this is Luna Coverdale.
And you're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave
on Global Digital Radio.
All right, we're wrapping it up. And this concludes our artist interview with the amazing Droid Bishop. And this has been a production of Beck Radio Broadcasting and KSWV Radio Shockwave, a global digital radio station based out of San Diego, California, and an IRUC licensed digital station that has also been a member of the National Association of Digital Broadcasters for, going on almost 5 years. All right, you guys, hopefully you enjoyed the interview time and our hangout time with Droid Bishop. I want to remind you that tomorrow at the same time, we are going to have here virtually in the studio Lau of Aztec Records. She's a renowned recording artist, and she's done a lot of composing, songwriting, and singing with many, many, many artists. She's multi-talented. She is a powerhouse. She's incredible. And she's going to be here with us tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon West Coast time. So if you're on the East Coast, that's going to be 3 o'clock your time. And if you're in Europe, that's going to be 8 o'clock, I believe, in UK, and 9 o'clock in most of Western Europe, Paris, and so on and so on. So if you want to make sure that you want to catch that, she's on European time, so it's going to be, I think, 8 or 9 o'clock for her.
It'll be 9 p.m. her time.
Yeah, 9 p.m. her time. So you guys, if you want to hear that one, definitely be back here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. I shouldn't have said that, man. They're going to come get me. I should not have said the bat time. What am I doing? It's like, that's like a copyright thing right there. Hey, you can't say Batman. Oh, sorry. Please don't sue me. I didn't mean to say that. Same KSWV Radio Shockwave time and channel. Okay, you guys? Anyway, Luna and Dan and I are out of here. And we're going to return you to the station cloud with some more awesome synthwave, retrowave, synth pop, and synth rock. And you heard it here on KSW.
You're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave.
Shadows call us when we awake and fall into
KSWV.
You're listening to Radio Shockwave.
seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shore of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain.
You're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave. listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave. You're listening to KSWV Radio Shockwave.
Oh,
This is Blake Coverdale, KSWV Radio Shockwave, bringing to you a reminder that not only are we your home for the most awesome, original, and eclectic synthwave tunes and other electronic synth-based music on digital radio, we can also be your sleepy time radio station too, no matter where you are in the world. KSWV is a global digital radio station broadcasting live and pre-recorded shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so we're always on for you. Bad dreams really suck, but amazing music can influence and bring amazing dreams. We could become the soundtrack of all your amazing dreams starting tonight. That's us, KSWV Radio Shockwave, your sleepy time music station too.
It has to hurt if it's to heal. Without hope we're nothing. I have to know, I have to feel. I cannot hide away forever. I cannot fall. And if I think too much or for too long, I'm scared I'll lose it
Radio Shockwave.
You're listening to KSWV, the Shockwave. More great synthwave tunes after these messages.
It's now ended too late. Every little thing that you wanted to take is just